Hey there, flavor adventurers. Welcome back to The Lost Taste, where we travel through time in the kitchen and rediscover meals that once filled tables, homes, and hearts, but which now sit largely forgotten. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell. Because today we're diving into 15 Sunday dinner treasures from African American households circa the 1940s. These are dinners made with creativity, heritage, backyard ingredients, and soul, meals that told stories, united families, and celebrated what could be grown, raised, or hunted locally. Stay with me to the end, and I'll ask you a question in the comments that I'd love to hear your answer to, and I'll also give you a sneak peek of our next video. Let's travel back in time to Sunday afternoon. Table set, family gathered. First up, roast guinea hen. Long before chickens were the oversized, mass-produced birds in supermarkets, families raised guinea fowl, small, dark-meated birds with a gamey, pheasant-like flavor. On special Sundays, the whole bird would be roasted with stuffing, perhaps cornbread, herbs, wild greens, and served to the preacher or the most honored guest in the house. It was a delicacy, a mark of respect, and a celebration of self-sufficiency. Why did it vanish? For one, guinea hens are noisy and hard to keep in modern suburban settings. Second, the bland, fat supermarket chicken replaced game birds. And third, fewer families raise their own poultry. On to number 2, pressed chicken, jellied chicken loaf. When a tough old rooster from the yard was past its prime, home cooks invented ways to elevate it. The bird was boiled until the meat fell off the bone, then chopped and seasoned, packed into a mold along with its reduced, gelatin-rich broth, and chilled until firm. On Sunday afternoon, slices of this terrine-like jellied chicken loaf would be served cold with pickles or greens. Why did it vanish? We don't value gelatinous savory foods in quite the same way. We seldom purchase chickens with enough cartilage for the broth to set naturally, and the technique requires time and ingenuity that modern convenience meals bypass. Third, stuffed beef heart. Steak was a luxury in many households in the 1940s, but a beef heart was large, lean, and affordable. After a careful cleaning, it would be stuffed with savory bread dressing, onions, herbs, cornbread crumbs, then slow roasted for hours until it sliced like a prime roast. The flavor was deep, rich, and the dish made Sunday dinner special. Why did it vanish? Organ meats fell out of favor in mainstream cooking, and slow roasting a heart is a technique few cooks practice now. Number 4, baked cushaw squash. We're familiar with candied yams, but in those days the cushaw, a green-striped, crooked-neck squash, ruled the garden. It was sliced, baked with butter and molasses, or sugar, and served alongside the roast. The texture was custardy, sweet but distinctive from pumpkin or sweet potato. Why did it vanish? Because cushaw is an heirloom crop rarely found in supermarkets now, and with standard summer squashes dominating, the dish simply faded. Fifth, killed lettuce, wilted lettuce salad. Before bottled dressings and bagged salad mixes, Sunday salad might mean fresh garden lettuce and green onions in a bowl. Then hot bacon fat, mixed with vinegar and sugar, was poured in sizzling over the greens, instantly wilting them, thus killed lettuce, and turning them into a savory, warm salad. Why did it vanish? Health consciousness shifted tastes away from hot pork fat over greens, and modern fast salads replaced this rustic tradition. Sixth, roast opossum and sweet potatoes. While often mentioned in survival or folklore contexts, a fat, corn-fed opossum was once a prized celebration meal in parts of the rural South. It would be parboiled, cleaned, and roasted surrounded by sweet potatoes, which absorbed the rich fat. Served proudly on Sunday, it rivaled pork. Why did it vanish? Urbanization, changing diets, and cultural stigma drove game meat off mainstream dinner tables. Seventh, fresh ham, not cured. Today, ham means pink, salty, cured meat, holiday ham. But in the 1940s, a fresh ham meant a raw leg of pork roasted like a turkey with garlic. herbs and seasoning until crackling skin and white meat appeared. It served a large family and was more economical than prime cuts. Why did it vanish? Uncured pork legs are hard to find in standard supermarkets today, and modern consumers are more comfortable with pre-cured and processed meats. 8th, salsify stew, oyster plant. Salsify, a root vegetable that looks like a thin parsnip, was cooked because inland families couldn't always access fresh oysters. The root was stewed with milk and butter into a mock oyster stew for Sunday supper. The flavor was delicate, creamy, reminiscent of oyster chowder, but based on garden produce. Why did it vanish? Salsify is sticky to peel, hard to find, and the culinary knowledge of its use simply faded. 9th, Brunswick stew, the squirrel version. Today, Brunswick stew is made with chicken or pork, but in the 1940s, African-American rural households often used squirrel and fresh corn. The game meat lent richness, depth, and thickness that chicken lacked. It was cooked for hours and served family style on Sunday. Why did it vanish? Squirrel hunting is no longer a common way to shop for meat, and game meat traditions declined. 10th, fried creamed corn, the milking method. This wasn't canned cream corn. Fresh ears of field corn were sliced down the kernel side, scraped to release the sweet milk, and then this milky pulp was fried in a cast-iron skillet with bacon grease until caramelized and thickened into a sweet savory pudding or side dish. Why did it vanish? It demands fresh field corn and manual work, processes many modern kitchens skip. 11th, apple stack cake, the Georgia version. On Sunday, this was showstopper dessert rather than weekday fare. Layers of stiff cookie dough pastry were stacked, 7 or 8 layers, separated with a thick filling of dried apples stewed with spices. The cake had to rest for days so the layers softened. Why did it vanish? Because it takes days to ripen, and modern families want cake they bake and eat the same day. 12th, stewed rhubarb, a spring tonic and dessert combined. Rhubarb grown wild or in backyard gardens was stewed with plenty of sugar until it became a pink, stringy sauce served over biscuits or plain cake. Why did it vanish? Rhubarb is now a garden niche item, and many modern palates find its stringy texture and tartness less appealing. 13th, light bread, yeast loaf. During the week, many African-American households baked biscuits or cornbread. On Sunday, they invested time and made a tall, white, yeast-risen loaf called light bread for sandwiches, family dinner, and show-off. The smell of yeast rising was the smell of Sunday morning. Why did it vanish? Because supermarket loaves became cheap and convenient, and home-baking basic white bread almost disappeared. 14th, succotash, the wet version. Not the dry frozen mix we know today, but a soupy, milky stew of fresh butter beans, lima beans, and corn, often cooked with salt pork and okra, ladled over rice or eaten with a spoon. Why did it vanish? Because it requires shelling fresh beans and cutting fresh corn, labor many modern cooks avoid, and the canned version ruined its reputation. 15th, homemade punch, fruit juices and tea. While not a bread, it was a Sunday dinner beverage ritual, a giant pitcher of punch made with leftover fruit juices, pineapple orange, strong brewed tea, plenty of sugar, sometimes ginger ale or sherbet if guests were coming. Served in a crystal bowl, it announced Sunday was special. Why did it vanish? Because we now just buy 2-liter bottles of soda or pre-made juice rather than concocting a giant punch bowl at home. And there you have it. 15 vanished Sunday dinners from African-American kitchens of the 1940s, each one a testament to heritage, ingenuity, local ingredients, community, and celebration. Which one surprised you the most? Which one would you actually try, or perhaps even revive in your own kitchen? Leave your answer in the comments below. I'm curious about your stories. If you enjoyed this deep dive into culinary memory, please hit that like button. Subscribe to The Lost Taste if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration of lost Southern recipes. And just as a friendly reminder, this video is educational and for entertainment. It honors cultural food traditions, but is not a substitute for professional culinary or medical advice. If you have dietary restrictions or allergies, always consult a qualified expert before trying vintage recipes. Thank you for watching The Lost Taste. Stay curious, stay adventurous, and I'll see you in the kitchen of history next time. Happy cooking!